I wish someone had told me earlier what I'm about to tell you. Your level of education does not need to limit your success in life. In fact, it can be your superpower. Hi, lovely friends, I'm Libby, and sometimes things in life don't always go to plan. Just like when I decided not to go to college or university, as we call it in Australia. Everyone loved to tell me that I would never be successful or make any money without a degree. But despite that, I did end up paving my own way, making six figures from a young age, getting into industries with absolutely zero experience. So if learning how to leverage your superpower and take charge of your life and your career path is something that interests you, stick around, subscribe if you find it helpful, and let's talk about the first skill that sets you up for success. And it is something I like to call skill navigating. In other words, knowing how to choose what to learn, identifying the skill that gives you the most bang for your buck. There are two very simple steps that I use in skill navigation. Number one, review and identify. Number two, apply and execute. Reviewing and identifying does one very important thing. It helps you strategically identify which skills to invest your time into, because you understand not all skills are created equal or are of equal importance at all times. When you learn this, you become a highly efficient and valuable human, and therefore employee or business owner. Many years ago, when I was trying to become a designer in the tech industry with no experience or no formal training, no degree, I needed to learn what to learn first. Because if I made the one mistake that everyone else makes, then I'd spend hours upon hours, days, weeks, years, learning a skill that probably wasn't going to help me stand out. And then I'd end up sending out a mass of job applications and just getting rejection after rejection back. Practically what I did then and now is start with reviewing and identifying the common skill, needs, or desires that the job asks. Then I form a list of the 5 or so most common skills that are being repeated on those job applications. What this allows me to do is cut through the fluff and the noise and focus on what matters and creates the biggest impact. Now you need a way to evaluate which of these 5 or so skills to learn first. There is a popular learning method called the Pareto principle, or better known as the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule means that 80% of the results come from 20% of the effort. So focus on the most important tasks to get the biggest impact. You don't want to waste time on learning skills that generate the smallest reward. When I wanted to break into becoming a designer, the biggest thing that I could put my time and energy towards was actually just building a portfolio. That would lead on to a trickle-on benefit of me being able to apply to jobs, go in the running to actually be interviewed, and give me the opportunity to highlight my value to the hiring manager or the team in creative ways, which is something that we're going to talk about shortly, which is a very important point. There's one very easy and important question that you can ask yourself when you're weighing up what skills to learn, or if you're struggling to kind of apply the 80-20 rule. Am I giving the employer exactly what they want to see? If the answer is anything but an absolute yes, then continue reviewing, identifying, refining, applying the 80-20 rule to unlock and uncover which skill is going to give you a yes to that question. Do this anytime you are leveling up and you are discovering all of the new skills that you now need to learn. So now, how do you make sure that the effort you're putting into learning these highly impactful skills is not going to be devalued by your previous work experience that doesn't appear to be relevant to the new job? Well, I have the answer for you, and this is a highly underrated skill that I'm pretty sure college doesn't teach you. This is how you leverage your previous experience to work in your favor, so that it looks like a superpower, that it gives you an edge, something that no one else has. It's unique to you. There are 3 very, very easy steps that you can do that honestly take no more than 5 minutes. But first, let me tell you what happens if you don't leverage this skill and strategy as something in your toolkit. Not doing this means that you let recruiters, hiring managers, new potential employers, or even just naysayers and annoying people tell you what you can't do and what you don't have, and therefore holding you back from your true potential. You are the one that's in control of your narrative, and you have the power to choose how people get to interpret your life and previous experience. If you leave that job up to someone else, they will always get it wrong and they will always underestimate you. After all, no one knows you better than you know yourself. We're about to get into some very practical tips. Create 2 separate columns. Label the first column previous work experience. Write down all of the previous work and life skills that you actually genuinely have experience in. If you don't have a lot of previous career work experience, think about the things that you've done in your spare time, things that are fun to you, interesting, intriguing, that keep you busy, things that you haven't gotten paid for, but you do anyway. And label the second column column, skill and experience required for the desired career. You've already got a list of those 5 or so soft or hard skills that the job applications keep repeating over and over again. Add those to that second column, going to identify the underlying need, desire, pain point, or want. What you're ultimately trying to do here is find where you have the experience to match the desired skills that that company or person is looking for. For example, maybe the job or industry career that you're going after really requires highly specific, detailed data spreadsheet tracking. What they're really saying is for someone who has a logical mind and the ability to take confusing information, organize that in a way that makes sense to the average human so that they can make other decisions that inform other people's jobs so that the company functions holistically and actually generates beneficial results for everyone. Take that approach of reframing and now apply that to all of your previous work and life skills. When I wanted to become a designer, I needed to look at all of the skills that I had and find ways to leverage the things that I already knew how to do and apply it into these new roles. For me, that looked like leveraging all of my customer service experience and then even my passion just for creating websites. All of those things I could reframe and apply it so that they became relevant for these new industry jobs. There is one specific question I used to ask myself to help me work through this process. Why am I the right fit? And this helps you dig deeper in understanding how you can apply your experience to what the company's wanting. What was once a negative to recruiters, jumping in and out of different industries, my mess of a resume, actually became something highly relevant, unique, and sought after. Key takeaways: highlight specifically how you bring value because of your diverse perspectives, insights, and experience. Be very clear, explicit, and direct. Why you are the right fit. Speaking of reframing things, if you want to supercharge this and take this all to the next level, you can't do it without this next strategy, something only a handful of people ever truly discover. I like to call this strategy communicate like you're in an elevator, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a moment. Here is the number one thing that I believe that college, university, higher education doesn't teach people. It's something that I missed for a very long time, and I know other people miss it too. If you do what everyone else does, you will blend into the sea of sameness and you'll get the same results that everyone else does. But if you do what others don't, you will stick out from the crowd and get infinitely better results. This change is tiny, and this is what you need to do. You learn the art of communication. The art of communication teaches you how to reframe what you say from the perspective of, how can I help that person or group of people get what they want? How can I make their life easier because I'm in it? Think about it. When you're in an elevator, you only have a couple of seconds, a couple of minutes at most to articulate and communicate what you want to say. So practically speaking, when you are trying to network, when you're in job interviews, when you're trying to transition your career, building this insanely helpful skill of learning how to communicate your value will transform your results. There are 3 ways you can do this. Identify the pain point that the person, the group of people, or that the role has. Find out how, where, and why you can specifically solve this pain point or problem for them. Practice this way of communicating, especially when you're on the phone to recruiters, when you're looking for new opportunities, in all the ways that you communicate. I've got a couple of helpful resources on this point about communication in the description for you, including a video on how to become more likable and change the way that people perceive you through your mannerisms, communication, and the like. Okay, remember these 2 very simple but crucial key takeaways. The fastest way to rejection and closing the door to opportunity is to come from the angle of only helping yourself. Number 2, this goes without saying, the fastest way to get new opportunities, to get your foot in the door, is to present yourself as useful, valuable, and helpful. People don't want to put more energy, more time into something that they already do. They don't want their time to be wasted. So make sure that they know you're not going to do that. You're different. This communication piece takes me to the next strategy for careering and lifing in general. I like to call it network with what you've got. My mum always used to drill this one line into my head, and I didn't understand it then, but I do understand it now. It's not always what you know, but who you know that makes all the difference. I can't stress how relevant this is for when you don't have a degree or some kind of qualification to back you. Leaning on your existing networks is so important because you never know what they know or who they know that you simply don't. Some of my favorite opportunities in life have come from friends of friends, from seemingly coincidental experiences, but it wasn't that. It was because I trusted the process of people and community. This brings me into a couple of practical things that you can do to leverage your network and working with what you've got. Post on your social networks, all of them and regardless of your follow account. Post that you're transitioning in your career, that you're looking for new opportunities, that you're open to new things. But remember the golden rule. Frame the messages from how you can be of help to them. Actively join and seek out entrepreneurial groups, business groups, social groups, and make it known to them that you're also looking for new opportunities. Even though you don't think anything might come of it yet, do it anyway because you just never know. Say yes to every opportunity to connect. And I feel like I can hear you through the camera because I can hear myself. Sometimes this can feel awkward, but honestly, putting yourself out there actively builds courage, it builds confidence, it builds resilience. Now we get into the final piece of this no degree needed, life-changing skill. I like to call this detach and be free. This might be one of my favorite things that I've ever had to learn simply through not going to university or college, because it's so much more than a career skill. It is a life skill and something that will help in so many different facets of life. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Detaching from feedback, learning to pivot or being open to pivoting, and understanding at all times people are behaving from their own unique lens of the world and of their life. And in most cases, how they respond is ultimately nothing to do with you as a unique, valuable individual. Getting feedback on your work and being open to change can be one of the greatest challenges in life. And it's something that you continue to work on for, your entire life. There are some strategies that I personally put in place to help me make this process easier so that I detach from taking feedback personally, which allows me to see things more clearly and ultimately allows me to be a better designer, a better business person, a better potential employee for someone else. Number one, ask for specific feedback. Asking for specific feedback means that you direct someone's attention to the highly specific details of what you want feedback on. Use questions like, if you had to change one specific area of this part of the work, what would it be? What do you believe would make this particular area more impactful or engaging? How could I improve the way I communicate this particular benefit or problem? This does one very important thing. It gets you out of the trap of asking for vague feedback. Saying things like, what do you think? Do you have any ideas, feedback, or thoughts about this? The vagueness of those kinds of questions means that someone's attention can go anywhere and everywhere and not to the area that you specifically do want feedback on, meaning that the feedback might not be relevant, useful, or helpful for you at this stage. And when someone comments on something that's not necessarily relevant, it's not an area that you're open to looking at right now, it can kind of mess with us a little bit mentally and throws us off, meaning that we might not be prepared to respond or be open in the way that is going to be valuable to someone else. Tim Ferris, as always, has a beautiful way of summarizing this. Life punishes the vague wish and rewards the specific ask. Number two, in learning how to detach and be free, actively remind yourself, and when I say actively, verbally, say it out loud, that people only respond from their own frame of life. This is something I actually do daily when I'm working on products for other people, when I am trying to take on feedback. People's responses, their desires, their needs, their wants, all of it, are coming from their unique perspective and their context of their own life. They cannot always see things from our point of view because they don't live our life. They don't have the context to build upon. It's very hard for someone to step out of their own shoes and into someone else's because there is a whole lifetime of experience that comes along with that. I actually purposely verbally say things out loud like, this is not my product, but it is my duty to help someone. I do not need to take this personally. This is not tied to my unique value. Simple things like that just help detach me from feeling like it's me being attacked when actually it's not. It's just about the task at hand. Finally, here in step 3 of learning how to detach and be free, it's this one simple thing to remember. You can't often solve a problem with the same eyes and the same brain that created it. People from all walks of life have different ways of interpreting problems and seeing opportunities. And time again, I know when I am more willing and open, I am able to pivot direction, get new insights for myself, and unlock better ways of handling jobs, tasks, feedback, relationships, anything. Of course, this does doesn't mean that you need to take on all feedback as true gospel or, the be all and end all. It doesn't mean that you always need to change your way of doing things, but it does allow in a significant shift in how you approach and are receptive to other people. It helps you acquire new information faster and allows you to have less resistance to new perspectives. Okay, I don't want to leave this video without you having something really practical that you can take away. Decide and commit to choosing one of these strategies to implement over the next week, and then share below in the comments which one that is and how you think or how you'd like it to help you. I've linked a couple of really helpful resources in the description below, amazing books that really stand out to me. The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferris. The general ideas in there are timeless and have helped me tremendously in my own career. Another one by Tim Ferris is Tribe of Mentors. I love this because it really helps solidify that you can create change, you can carve out your own path, no matter where you are in life, it's in your control. Essentialism is another great book. Honestly, anything from the Charisma on Command YouTube channel. And finally, a great article all about learning how to think. If you did enjoy this video, I have this whole video in blog post format, which might be really helpful if you want to go back and look at some of these strategies. You can even send that post to someone else as a little sign and nudge to make the change, jump careers, and to just take the initiative to follow their own path. All right, friends, if you are still here, then I appreciate you so much. Consider liking and subscribing if you got value out of this. Come and join this growing community. Thank you again. See you in the next video. Bye.